My goal is to share what it's like to live with fibromyalgia, but don't feel bad for me. Some of the things I share are not what I live with, but what I know many people with fibromyalgia live with. I want to provide hope and long-term treatments that you can use to get through your days and be productive. Life-changing treatments for successful use of your time. So this video will be about my big problem and lessons I learned. I have a wonderful life. I am so blessed. And I hope that you can have that in your life too. First, I'd like to give you a little of my background. For this video, there was one big problem that I endured in the beginning of that journey. I wasn't moving enough. I went from a standing job as a hairdresser and instructor to working in a factory. I chose standing jobs there too. Then when I worked in an office after I received my bachelor's degree, I was on a computer most of the time. And I got out in the field, we called it, several times a week. It wasn't hard getting out in the field before fibro, but after fibromyalgia, I found myself in a peculiar situation. Over time, I began to withdraw from society. I didn't know how to tell people that I had fibro, but the pain made it difficult for me to get around. And I found it to be a little embarrassing. I also had neurocardiogenic syncope and experienced lightheadedness and fainting before medication, but lightheadedness after medication. At that time, fibromyalgia was considered more of an anxiety disorder or a depressive disorder, not really taken seriously by the public. So I felt inclined to keep it to myself. And even after telling one of my bosses that I had anxiety so that he would understand where I was coming from, just made things worse, at least in my mind. I felt he had no empathy. It got harder to get out and do the corporate relations, especially in the winter because the cold weather would flare me up. Then I would get home, sit on my recliner, and do my homework or study. I mean, there wasn't a lot of extra time, so any extra time after working and doing homework, that's when I did housework. And we also went to church on Sunday and attended a small study group during the week. Then I started getting what felt like electric shocks in my left arm from my shoulder to my hand, all the way down here. A few weeks of that, and I wasn't able to raise my left arm up, like you should be able to. So I went to my rheumatologist and found out that I had a frozen shoulder. It was very painful. By the time I saw her, I couldn't raise my left arm more than this. It took a couple of months of physical therapy to get it moving again. What on earth? It just never occurred to me to stretch my arms and legs daily because I was on an educational mission to finish. Fortunately, my physical therapist was knowledgeable about fibro, and that's when I learned that stretching and moving our muscles was vital to my success. After that, I had many different sessions with her for this or that. But in the end, I learned I wasn't getting enough exercise if we don't stretch daily, we'll have issues moving. More than we do already. I'd had fibro for about 6 years by then, and you'd think I would have known how important it was to move every so often. Some people with fibro learn this early on. I guess I'm a late bloomer. Every night I would sit for about 2 to 2.5 hours at a time. I thought all that stuff about getting exercise was rubbish because it hurt too much to move. I did a video on fibromyalgia stiffness if you'd like to watch that. If we don't move our bodies at least every half hour, and I mean stretching our muscles, we'll get stiff. And like me, you could possibly get a frozen joint. Adhesive capsulitis is what physicians call it. It's normally caused by inflammation and scar tissue that thickens and tightens, which makes the joint stiff, making movement of that area very painful. So if you're thinking about going to college, and I hope you are, make sure you take time for yourself. My college degrees changed my life, and I don't regret one moment of my experiences. But what I did learn is that hot showers in the morning or hot baths in the evening are important. And when you sit, take breaks, use heating pads, stretch those muscles every half hour. I use a timer now to remind myself to get up and get moving. Because when I'm working on, for example, a video script and doing my research, I get so focused that I forget and too much time has gone past. If a half hour is too long for you, set a timer for every 15 minutes. Just find what works for you. Listen to your body so you don't overdo it. And you can overdo it by simply doing nothing. And that's where I went wrong. If walking is something you can do, get outside and walk.
Don't you worry about me, baby. I have everything I need.
And if you can do a little aerobic exercise, do it, even for 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes every other day. It helps to increase our endurance so we can do more later. It also releases endorphins in the brain that reduce our perception of pain. And the brain releases serotonin to give us a happy feeling. So if you're struggling with depression, a little happy jumping around exercise can help. I'll go into more detail in future videos, but for you to understand where I'm coming from, I thought a look at my life would be beneficial. I hope you found this video helpful. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. If you like this video, please comment below and like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.